Hey guys, welcome to Travels with Chris. I am here today with a video. It's been a long time since I posted, and this video, it's actually two that I'm posting about two other people that were sharing their experiences. According to them, it's real. One of them, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, I believe it's not real. The second one we'll be going over seems a lot more real to me. And I'm going to tell you a reason why. So okay, go ahead and start with the first one.
T'as entendu? Ça vient d'en bas ou pas?
Excusez-moi! Monsieur!
Attends, viens, on peut passer ici.
Ah!
Attends, viens, on passe par...
Oh!
Viens, rentre. Non, pas toi. Viens, on arrive. Prends tes affaires, c'est un piège. Prends tes affaires vite, c'est un piège. Prends tes clés. On y va? Écoute-moi. Ouais. Non, attends. On y va ou pas? Je sais pas. Vas-y, go. Attends. Viens. Wesh.
Oh, monsieur!
Oh, monsieur. Mec, on fait quoi? Monsieur.
Ouais.
Y'a quelqu'un? Oh. Qu'est-ce Monsieur. C'est quoi cet endroit hanté? Tu peux aller voir. Non, vas-y, c'est bon. Oh! Ça fait quoi? C'est quoi ça? Et s'arrêter. Va. Oh! C'est quoi? Oh! Putain, je me suis fait mal. Attends, vas-y. Oh! Je suis remouillé. Oh! Oh putain! Monsieur! Oh! Vas-y, je me barre. Je suis en sueur là. Vas-y, on se barre. Vas-y, on se casse.
Now, this video showing obviously these two men in some type of side road or whatnot seem to have heard these sounds. Now, it kind of sounds like a voiceover on the video because one of the in the time when they went down the stairs to go under that tunnel, it's like the video stopped, or they cut it, and then they ended up at the other side of the tunnel, which there was nothing there. It was pretty much a dead end. There was nothing there. There was no one there. But you clearly hear, like really loud, this audio of this creature or person screaming, but there's no one there. And it's so loud that you can literally hear it where they're standing. So I feel like this most likely is a voiceover, or they had maybe like a stereo or something, some type of speaker, you know, just playing this sound over and over. Number two, no one is going to be brave enough, in my experience, to actually go down this place where it's all wooded area and you don't know what's down there. And that sound is so loud that you don't know what it is or who it is or what they're capable of doing. So why would you put yourself in that situation? I wouldn't do it. But obviously that's that video. And now we're going to move on to the second video with this man that I believe is telling the truth. He seems very sincere in this video.
Hey, so today I experienced something that I've never experienced in my life before. Freaked me out, thought I was crazy. Still haven't processed it fully. So, as I do every week, twice a week, I make deliveries to the same guy. I've been doing it for 7 months. And it's the same guy every time I walk in. He's got a big garage, like a couple trucks in it. I walk in, I hand him his parts, we talk for a minute, I walk away. I go on my business. Today, I walked in, and he had his back to me, and he was working on his bench, and he must have heard me coming. I don't know, because I was actually pretty quiet, I thought, but when he turned around, I jumped and kind of grabbed my mouth like that because I didn't know what to think. And he laughed a little bit, and he called me jumpy. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm just not feeling very good. And I handed him his part, and I was like, hey, I gotta go. The reason I reacted that way,
what is he gonna say?
is because when I looked at him, he was different. He didn't look like the same guy I saw every other time. First thing I saw was he had no color in his eyes. They were completely black. Like, you couldn't even see reflections. It was just a black mass. And for some reason, his ears were kind of weird, and they had like this little point like that. I don't know what that was. Excuse me. But then I was talking to my friend, and he sent me an article about them saying that a new disorder that's coming out where people are starting to see demon faces. I still can't process it. I can't. I don't know. And like ever since the eclipse, I find it funny. The clouds look different. I have a massive update about the guy I saw with black eyes. I've been tossing this up in the air for a little bit whether I should post the video or not. And I decided to, just because I promised a few people that I would keep them updated on what happened. I'm a little confused, I'm not gonna lie. I went into work this morning. My boss told me because Monday is a holiday, he's like, why don't you go ahead and do your Monday route today? That way we don't have to worry about it. Awesome. So I get in my van, I'm making deliveries. I had to stop at that guy's company. I didn't see him in the window. I dropped the part like normal. I got like maybe a mile down the road. I just pulled over because everything in my stomach, in my gut, in my heart was like, you know what, maybe you should have done this before, but let's Google his name. And I Googled his name. I have more questions now than I did before, because the first thing that popped up was his face, and underneath it, it said obituary, died in October of 23. Was I handing parts to a ghost? % sure that I am of right frame of mind. I know I was handing that guy parts. So that tells me that I handed my parts to somebody that died in October. How is that possible? Next time I see that company, I'm going to walk in and ask them about him. Hey, so I got an update on the guy I saw with the black eyes and the pointy ears. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at my profile. It's all pinned. Be able to catch up that way. So today I made a delivery to that company, and luckily for me, there was a mechanic standing out front. I walked over and I asked him a couple questions about the old man that used to work there, and he said, yeah, the owner passed away in October. He died of brain cancer, and that the guy's daughter was now running the company. And, you know, I was going to ask a few more questions, but then the daughter came outside, and the mechanic was like, oh, this guy over here is asking questions. I was just filling him in a little bit, and she looked at me and she was like, yeah, do you have any questions you want to ask? And then I said no. And I said, the only thing that I want to say is, I'm sorry, this is a late response. And I was like, but I just wanted to say I'm sorry for your loss and my condolences. And I gave her a hug, and she said thank you. And I was like, take care of yourself, okay? And I got in my van and I left.
I just came from Kroger's. I just got off of work. I went to go pick up a few items. I go to the bread aisle. Now the bread aisle is super long. I'm at one end of the bread aisle. There's a guy that's about 3/4 of the way down in the bread aisle. He got a cart, I got a cart. He's looking at me. And you know how you can see out your peripheral that somebody's staring at you. Looking, but he's staring at me. I kind of look his way. He's still staring. I go ahead and I get my bread. I go back around the other way because I'm going to the international aisle to get some pasta and some other stuff. While I'm in the international aisle at one end, this guy comes around and he's at the top of the same aisle. I see him still looking at me. Now, mind you, there's a couple of things that I need to get out of that aisle. So the first part of the aisle, I grab what I need to grab and I go about midways down, other end. So he's staring at me still. So I kind of look at him and I go like, how you give somebody that type look? He's still staring. So I'm looking for what I'm looking for. I can't really find it because he's throwing me off because he keeps staring. Mind you, this man don't have nothing in his cart. He's not even turned to look at any food. He's looking directly at me. By this time, I'm like, you know what? I'm not on it. I'm about to just stare you down. So I turn to look at him. Y'all, when I tell you, this man stared at me and his eyes turned black. And his whole eyeball turned completely black. He looked, it said black, and then he walked away. When I tell you I left that cart sitting in that aisle, I didn't even buy nothing from Kroger. I left out and I came home. There is stuff, there is beings that is walking in this earth, and they at the store, they at whatever, they look like us and everything else, but they are not human.
So now, there you have it. This guy posted up 3 times his experience based on what happened. And I'm gonna share my experience as far as what I encountered. Not, I didn't see anything. This was many years ago. I didn't see anything, but I did hear something. And it was really weird. And it was kind of like the first video, but what happened with me was, I would say, a little bit different. And going back to what this man said, you know, it makes sense. I believe it is possible, obviously, because there are spirits that we live among in this world. And this goes, biblically speaking, you know, this also goes with what the scripture says. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about my experience and the experiences of these videos that we just played. Now, I never shared this, that I believe, on social media. I don't think I ever did. But what happened to me was I was with my friends one time. This was many, many years ago. And what happened was we were bored. We were into a lot of like going on journeys, adventures and stuff like that. And we ended up going to the woods. And what happened was we went to this location that my friends had actually looked up on the internet and were interested in going to. So before we left, we definitely made sure that we were well protected when we went, and we had things with us, you know, just in case something were to happen. So what ends up happening is we went down to this wooded area. It was, we didn't go so deep, but we were going deep into the woods. And the woods were literally the backyard of many houses. So we parked the vehicle. I'm not going to say where is the location of the woods, just in case. I'm not going to say where it is. But we did go there, and we all came out. We started walking. And the pathway was a fork, ended up into a fork. So it went left and it went right. We didn't know which way we should have went. Now, if we would have chose the right side, which was more straight, then we would have went directly into the woods. Like, there was no houses on that side. It was just straight woods. And if we chose the left side, which we did, it was more like open fields. So it was less trees, more open fields. So I'm like, all right, let's take the left. It's more open. We can actually see things from afar if anything were to try to attack us, you know, and there's really no bushes here. So everything's kind of out and open. The moon is out and we have a lot of light. So that's what we did. So we started walking down that path on the left. And we see, you know, with our flashlight, we were like pointing out in the fields to see if we see anything. and all we saw was like little bitty eyes, which were the deers, like the mama daddy deers and the baby deers, just laying down in the field just watching us, which is completely normal. So we just continue to walk. We start walking farther and farther. Now we're passing the fields. Now we start to run into an area of the woods where now it's more of the wooded area, more trees and more bushes. But before we get there, we actually pass like this little abandoned shack. It was like, I don't know if it was like a butcher place before, I don't know what it was, but it was all abandoned. And we didn't really, mess with that too much. There was nothing in there. It was really small. So we continue walking. And all of a sudden, one of our friends went towards like ahead of us, and he was like shining his like flashlight like on the ground to see if he sees any tracks or anything like that. And he starts to call us. So we get closer to him. We're like, what's going on? What did you see? He's like, what does this look like to you guys? And we saw that there were like, paw prints. I'm like, oh, that's probably just a German Shepherd being walked by his, by his owner or whatever. So we were talking amongst each other. We're like, well, we don't think there's any wolves out here. I mean, we don't think so. Wolves are more, I would say, up in New York, I believe. And we're like, okay, well, let's continue walking. So we continued to walk, and the path got darker. And it was because we were entering into the area where I said was more wooded. It was more trees, like really, really tall trees, and more bushes. So we're like, wow, should we keep going, or should we just turn around and just, call it a day? And my friend that actually seen the paw prints said, no, I want to continue going. I want to see what's down there. And I'm like, well, it's going to be more wooded areas. It's going to be really dark, and I don't know if we should take a risk. He said, no, let's keep going. So we kept walking, and again, he's shining his flashlight like on the ground, and he's like, oh, look what I found. So we all run towards the area, and we see that there was a freshly ripped off baby deer's leg. And it was, you could definitely tell it was a baby deer. And it seems like the animal literally just yanked the leg from its, I guess, bones, or its hip or something. And you only had that little portion of the leg still left on the ground. The body was nowhere to be found. It was just the leg. And obviously there was some, blood there, but it was very fresh. You can tell it literally must have happened probably the hour before we got there. It was so fresh. There was no flies on it. There was no maggots. The blood was so fresh. It was bright red. It was so fresh. And we just all looked at each other and we stopped. We're like, should we keep going? And I told my friends we should not. I think we shouldn't. So three of my friends were like, nah, we should just turn around and go home. And then the other one that actually found the leg, I believe he said, nah, we should just keep going. I'm like, no, we should not at this time. We don't know what's out here. We don't know if we're going to deal with a wolf. We don't know if we're going to confront a bear. We don't know what's out here. And at that moment that we were standing over that deer's leg and we were just discussing what we were going to do, all of a sudden, we just hear this loud, it was like a roar, kind of. But it was like a scream at the same time. I don't know how else to describe it. I've never heard anything like that. Obviously, I don't be going around camping. I'm not that type of person to camp. So I haven't, probably never experienced different sounds of different animals, like bears and wolves and foxes and stuff like that. But I have been around them, and I've never heard those sounds either. And it was so loud. It was and it was so close to us. It was coming from the far left, where there was this huge bush. It was a big, I don't know what to call it, a overgrown shrub or what it was, but it was huge. And there was more trees down. And it was coming right behind that bush. What was behind standing there or whatever, it was screaming, like roaring at the same time, and it was so close to us. And it felt like it was coming so deep within this creature. And the sound of it literally traveled through the air. And I could feel like the vibration, like literally, I can feel the vibration touch my skin. Like it made kind of like my body vibrate, like my skin vibrate off of how loud this sound was coming from that creature. And it sounded like this creature was humongous. Like you can always tell versus if someone has a big dog behind a door or a fence versus having a small dog behind a door or a fence. You don't even need to see or visualize this dog. You can tell by its tone, you can tell by how loud the bark is, how big or how small that dog may be, right? And we can tell, okay, this is a smaller dog or this is a bigger dog, you know? It was just like that. It was just like that. And I was like, no way. I just started screaming, run. Like everybody run. We just started running. We just kept running for our lives. I said, don't look back. Just keep running. Don't look back. And we just kept running until we got like midsection to the fields where we were in the beginning. And that's when I took a quick glance to see if there was anything behind us. There was nothing there. And that roar lasted the whole time we were running away from it. It had to last, I would say maybe 30 seconds, perhaps, maybe. I can't say that it could have been longer or shorter than that, but it had to be at least 30 seconds long. And it wasn't like there was a pause in between and it started to roar again. No, it was roaring like it was so deep, like it had so much air in its lungs, and it was just letting everything out to the very last oxygen that it had left in them. And it sounded like humongous, like it was so huge. Like this creature had to be like a bear size or bigger. Like it kind of felt like that. And I could not believe that we heard this. I did not expect this. I expected anything else but that. So point where we got midway to the fields, I told them, keep running. I'm like, keep running, because we don't know if this thing could pop out of nowhere. We don't know if it hops. We don't know how fast this thing can go. So we continued to run until all the way we got to the car. And we were so exhausted, and we just quickly like opened up the door. We just got in the car and we just drove away. Like we just started thinking to ourselves, like, what could have this been? Like, what is this? And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, could this have been like a werewolf or something? Like, I don't know. Like, do they even exist? So there are other things that I'm also going to talk about. Now, if you want to talk about Hollywood movies, a lot of people do know that these movies are just not made up. These movies are not always fiction. There's a lot of movies that Hollywood has been putting out there since many, many years ago, since filming actually started. They film werewolves, vampires, leprechauns, fairies, mermaids, etc. Aliens. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but recently things have been coming out to the light really quickly and nonchalantly, I would say, because the government is exposing themselves, allowing things to occur, and not really caring about it, only when it comes to certain topics and when people point out the truth and start naming names and companies. That's when people start to become assassinated, disappearing. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not naming any names or locations or anything like that, just to be on the safe side, just in case. Now, if someone still knocks on my door, then there's nothing I can do about that. It's also very suspicious, the other video of this man talking about that he went to this company, which was the second video. and it was that he was delivering some products to this person, and this person he kept seeing for 6 months or so is the same man. And then all of a sudden one day when he sees the man again, the man was just totally different. Eyes were pitch black, and his ears were kind of like pointed up, like kind of like an elf ear. And it started to make me think, because I'm like, okay, well, what if this is what I encountered in the woods that day? But it actually had manifested, and it was no longer probably in human form. The thing was obviously hungry. It ate the deer, and it just heard us and probably saw us when we were there. And it just decided to start roaring, as giving us an alarm, warning us to stay away, making us know that it's there. So thank God we made it out alive that night. And we didn't have to encounter, this thing. And I was thinking about me, well, according to the way this guy was describing this man at that shop, it kind of fits the description like of a werewolf. They could call it skinwalker or shapeshifter or whatever. And I'm like, well, could it be the same thing? Could it be the same thing? And there's this book that I actually read many years ago also, is this book, which I'll post up a picture up if you guys are interested in actually reading on it. And it mentions these creatures. And it just makes me think like, okay, well, anyone can make up a book. Anyone can write about it, and make up these stories, just like Hollywood have supposedly made up these movies, these fictional movies. But little by little, as the years pass, people have started to see different sightings of these things that Hollywood says it's fiction, it's not real, they don't exist. There's also a story of someone that supposedly was a vampire at one point. Was he really a vampire? I really don't know. According to him and the way he describes things, it was pretty much like a vampire. He pretty much lived as a vampire. And obviously all these things are demonic. They all come from the same origin, but I don't know. Let me know what your opinion is on this. And there's many stories and I guess people that call folklores and myths that people throughout the centuries have written down. Obviously in those times we didn't have cameras, and written down and testified about these sightings that they have seen, and no one has ever come out to investigate, or if someone has tried, they get killed. And it's a crazy world. Who knows what's out there? We don't even know. We haven't even discovered all of the seas yet in this world, everything that's in the water. We really don't know. Just like this other guy that also had supposedly encountered what they call sirens, which are mermaids. And he was out doing his job as a fisherman, and all of a sudden there was these kind of like these screams coming from within the ocean all over, on the left and on the right. He thought maybe they're whales, maybe not. A lot of people have left different comments like, yeah, these are definitely whales or dolphins out there. But it's just so weird because he also stopped posting. I don't know where he is. I don't know what happened to him. But after he also posted about the mermaids, that perhaps it could be mermaids, all of a sudden he also gives another video about the scientist or I don't know if it was the military that was on his ship. And if I do find it, I'm actually going to put it up here too. Hopefully that'll close out my video. And they shut down. They shut down the ship where he was at, and they put up signs.
You hear them? They're singing. I love my job, I swear. Mr. Krabs? Huh, Mr. Krabs? Tell him, Mr. Krabs. Actually, you know what, homie? I'm gonna throw you back in your ocean. Because we're not catching you. Be free. Be free, homie. sometimes you gotta let them free, you know? Sometimes you just gotta let them roam free. Let's just walk right back. Let's see if we can find. Oh, yo! Oh, hell no! Wait, no! No! Wait, I just threw this overboard. Y'all saw me throw it overboard. This, are you kidding me? That did not just saw us 90. And we just out here. We're chilling. We're out here I hear it. I hear him. Where's she at? What is that noise, bro? What is that noise? Where are you? This is crazy. I heard it. I heard it. I hear it. Oh my God. That's crazy. That's nuts. That's crazy. Sauce 9, you know what it is, man. Just finished another fishing trip. Whole fishing trip, heard no noises whatsoever until we got into unload. Peep this video, crazy. At the docks though? Hey yo, you hear that? I know what that is. I know what that is. That bitch told me to in. Oh, at the docks though? No way. No way. I'ma find your ass. You watch. To all 11,000 of you who were with me last night when this video was going live, I appreciate y'all. We witnessed something crazy. Source 90, the government is legit here. Peep game, let's be sneaky. That was full of water. My pants are wet. Cut. Source 90, dry pants now. Let's check out. You're gonna be out here doing testing. Testing what? What the guys testing? That's what I want to know. We all know Source 90 has heard certain things out in the ocean, and then my TikTok gets banned, and then the government shows up my boat. It's too many incidences.
Why did those people arrive on the ship after he posted these things? We don't know, and I don't know where this guy is currently. I don't know if he's still alive or they just told him, hey, stop posting. I don't know. I don't have TikTok. I don't have these social medias. I'm getting this off of YouTube that other people repost and keep posting other people's videos. So leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, guys. It's very interesting. It's scary. But these are true, you know, I believe true encounters. We can never tell most of the time when someone does a voice over the videos that we're listening to, that we're watching. But at the same time, may it be true? We really don't know. I know what I experienced was definitely true, even though I didn't have a video or a picture of anything, which I should have did that, but I was not expecting to see what I saw and what I heard. I did not expect that. I didn't go there with that intent of filming something. It was just out of boredom. So who knows? Maybe the next time if I do go out on one of my journeys or whatnot, I'll probably start filming like I usually do, and maybe not. Maybe I would never go back there. I always told myself I would never go back to the woods, especially at night, because it's really creepy and we just don't know what to expect. We really don't. Oh, and another thing too that came back to my mind, I remember when we were walking through the woods, we heard like some drums for quite a bit, and then the drums just stopped. Like it was like somebody playing drums, but it was like really far, really distant, and we don't know where it was coming from. We didn't know if maybe somebody was playing drums in their own home. We don't know, but it wasn't coming from the left side where the houses were. It was coming more from the right side where it was deep into the woods, and we didn't see anyone over there playing drums. But it was like I said, it was very far. It wasn't so loud. Like it was like really deep into the woods, and we're like, oh crap, maybe this is some type of ritual site here, and we don't even know what we came across. So I'm gonna leave you with that, and until next time.